And welcome back to On the Mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. And you're listening to another episode of Business Basics. This podcast is dedicated to helping you grow your business. So let's talk about branding and communicating your brand with a 30-second elevator pitch. That's right. So if you're following me on social media, I recently posted about practicing my own 30-second elevator pitch because my brand has grown, and I've added another business. So with every business and every brand, you've got to have a 30-second elevator pitch because there's not always some crossover. So you want to figure out, first of all, how to communicate your brand. But before you do that, you have to understand your brand and what your brand's identity is. Okay. And so let's get into this, because one of the things you want to make sure you do is have your brand strong. You want a strong brand, and you want to be able to communicate that brand with as much intensity and tenacity, but also make sure that it is communicated effectively. So your brand pretty much talks about, your values, how you communicate your concepts, the emotions that you want your consumers or your customers to feel when they interact with your business. So what is your brand? Essentially, it is your business's personality. What's your business's personality? What is your promise to your customers? So that's pretty much what your brand is. That's communicated in everything from your name, your terms, design, symbols, colors, all of these different things, logos, all of these different things communicate your brand. And so you want to be consistent among with your communication as it relates to your brand. If what you want to do doesn't point back to your brand, it might be a good idea. It might sound good, but if it's not on brand, it's not good, because you don't want to confuse your brand. Okay. So you want to think about that. How are you communicating? All of the concepts, everything that you come up with, is it on brand? And when you start thinking about your brand, you got to think about everything from the colors that you choose, because there's research surrounding colors for marketing and all of these different things. There's a reason why companies use certain colors, and all of these different things and all of these different elements all speak back to the brand. Nike's brand makes sense. You see that swoosh, you don't even have to wonder what it is. That's Nike. You see that apple, you know that it's Apple. You see those three stripes, you know that's Adidas. There's certain things that, because they have perfected brand communication, they know how to effectively communicate the brand, and they always drive it home. There's a consistency there. There's always something there that you will know that's the brand. Even Dwayne Wade, when you see that little circle with the little marks around it, you know that's his brand. That's Way of Wade. You know that's his brand. So there's no question about it. When it comes to the Stance socks and the shoes that he has, that's it. His son has a new line, Young DNA. They're driving the brand home. Even with his baby girl, his daughter, Shady Baby, she has a brand. It's called Shady Baby, and so you're seeing they're driving the brand with hashtags and everything else. You see it, and so it's all about it. So there's a Forbes article I'm looking at too that's sharing 4 steps to take when developing your brand identity to communicate it more authentically with your audience. First of all, you have to define your target persona. And what does that mean? Who's your target market? Where are they? What are the things that resonate with them? What's going to make them say, ooh, I want that? Is your target market working mothers? If your target market is working mothers, what interests working mothers? What are their priorities? What problem or issue are you solving for them, for instance? And how can you communicate that so that you can spark an interest? Or how can you communicate or find them so that you can talk to them? Because when you're talking to single mothers or working mothers, that's not the same as a single mother. That's not the same as a single father or working fathers. That's not the same. Every audience is different. So you can't lump them together. So you first must identify who is your market, who's your target market. What are their priorities? What's unique to them? What are their goals? What are their aspirations? What are they interested in? What are all the demographics about them? Meaning, what's their discretionary income? Not disposable. What's their discretionary income? What are some of these? All of these demographics matter because it helps you figure out how to communicate your message to them and figure out where they are. With that said, the second point is determine your ideal communication channels. Again, it goes back to who your client is, who your target market is, and where they are. So, listen, is it B2B, B2C? What is it? Everybody's social media and communicating digitally, but maybe your client is not on Facebook. Instagram is getting ready to change. So maybe where are those people going to go next when folks decide to jump ship? You've got to be able to know where your people are to be able to properly communicate to them, because you want your message to hit them where they are so that you can spark their interest, so you can be in front of them so they understand and recognize your brand and can get behind it. So you've got to communicate with the right digital channels. You've got to get in front of the right people at the right time. So is it Instagram? Is it Pinterest? Is it another social media platform? Maybe social media is not it for your brand. You've got to figure out the right communication channels for your market. But it all goes back to knowing your market. Okay. If you're after high ticket clients, 9 times out of 10, they're not on they're not on Facebook at least. So they're probably not doing an ad on Facebook is not going to yield you somebody who's willing to pay $15,000 a month. Now, I could be wrong, but that hasn't been, proven to me yet. So if somebody's got some research out there that can show me that's verifiable research, I'm absolutely on board with that. So I'm happy to take a look at that. But so listen, the third point is understand the message you're looking to deliver. So again, this points back to your target market. If your target market is, okay with slang and this very casual, using emojis and all of those things are appropriate. But if your target market is a little bit more, professional, you're not going to want to use casual language. You want to be a little bit more formal. For instance, the way Cartier communicates their message, the way Tiffany's communicates their message is not the same as Jared the Galleria. It's not the same as, Lindor chocolates. They're not the same as Werther's candy. You know what I mean? So you might be in the same industry, but if you don't have the same target market, you're going to communicate differently. Luxury brands are not casual. They don't even communicate on a casual level, because they're communicating to the people they want to target. They're at that level. So you can't bring people down or up. You've got to meet them where they are. And then as your brand grows, either they're going to grow with you or they're going to fall off. But you've got to know who your brand is and communicate in the right language and tone that's going to make them say, I want that, or I want to get behind that brand. Okay. And all of this takes practice. And then, and then you're going to take that to the fourth level, which is you got to establish an emotional connection by telling stories. What is your story? All of this plays into it all. Jeff Bezos says that branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that's the truth. So what do you want people to say or think about your brand when it's all said and done? What is the emotional connection? What's the story behind the story? All of this plays a huge part in crafting your 30-second elevator pitch, because that 30-second elevator pitch takes all of these different unique parts and condenses it into 30 seconds. Why? Because you want to boom. Why do you think commercials are so short? Boom, because we want to hit it. We want to get your attention. Clearly, succinctly, tell me who you are, what you do, what's the value to me, and basically, how are you making money? at the same time, because that's all it boils down to. If you have a 30-second elevator pitch, but you're not communicating how you're going to make money, you probably want to tweak that some more. Your 30-second elevator pitches, it's really just that simple. Maybe you're riding an elevator, or you're in an airport, and you identify somebody as your target market, as your target client, and you literally only have 30 seconds to capture that attention, to pique their interest, to want to know more. What do you say? Where do you start? That's that elevator pitch, communicating your brand. It's short, prepared. You've got to practice it. Once you hone it, you got to practice it, practice it, practice. And then it takes time to craft skillful elevator pitches. You want them to be effective. Keep practicing them. Keep, working on them until you perfect it, until it's communicated, and have people you can bounce it off of. It may sound great to you, and you may think you're communicating effectively everything that you need, but to somebody else, it's like, I don't see how you're making money. I don't see where you're saying this. I don't see where you're saying that. And this is what people want to know. So you've got to have people that you can bounce that information off of, that can say, okay, here's the loophole in your pitch. Here's the loophole. You need to close this gap right here. And that's what you want to do. You want to be interesting, memorable, and succinct. And, it's always opportunities. There's always opportunities to drop it, especially if you're doing traditional networking and business. You need that 30-second elevator pitch. I've been in meetings where people are taking 1 whole minute, 2 whole minutes. That is too long. 30 seconds. Work on it. Practice it. Get it. Have a team of people that you can bounce these ideas off of, that can help you really get it to inside, because it really is a science and there's a technique behind it. So how do you create an elevator pitch? First of all, what's your goal? What is your goal? What do you want out of the pitch? What is your overall goal or objective out of the pitch? And then you've got to explain what you do. People need to know, what is it that you're doing? What do you do? What do you do? Because if you don't say what you do, what's the point of the pitch? Okay, again, that's the brand, communicating the brand. Communicate also your unique selling proposition or position. What's unique about what you have to offer? Because everybody's got a chocolate. So what's special about your chocolate? Telling a story. So what's your story? What's the emotional attachment? What's going to send it? So if you're selling chocolates, like, man, this chocolate is like from the Swiss Alps and it's Bavarian Swiss chocolate, and it's this, whatever it is, you got to tell a story that make people's mouths want to salivate to taste what you have to offer. That's your unique selling proposition. You can tell I don't sell chocolate, so I don't know. But that's something that you want to do. What sets you apart? Maybe you're a service. Maybe your unique selling proposition is, I don't use a cookie cutter approach. That's important to a lot of people. So what is your unique selling proposition? And then engage with a question. What do you want people to do? One of my pitches ends with, it's not a question, but it's a dare. And I say, dare to wear. And I communicate the brand. After it's all said and done, dare to wear. Boom. You've got to have something that challenges them to want to move forward with the brand. And then you take all of that, put it together, and practice it. Keep practicing it. You got to practice that thing, okay? And not just in what you say, your tone, but your body language, your facial expressions. Everything matters when it comes to communicating your brand. And so that's really what you want to do as it relates to communicating your brand. The other thing is, a lot of people want to go live. That's fantastic. But again, when you go live, you got to, okay, is this communicating on brand? What are we talking about? If we're doing background sets and sceneries, is this on brand? And does it make sense? It might be a cool background, but is it on brand? Because if it's not on brand, it could be confusing to audiences. Okay, so for instance, Jada Pinkett Smith has Red Table Talk. Her brand is consistent. You're not seeing anything different. Her background's not changing. It's the same thing. She's communicating the same brand. But if I'm watching somebody else on live and every time I turn around, it's a different background and it's supposed to be this color, but every time I turn around, it's every other color. But that, I'm confused by the brand. So you want to be consistent. What is the brand? Are we spilling the tea? If we're spilling the tea, then I'm looking for, if you're dealing with controversial topics, then that makes sense to me that if you're going to use a bunch of red and sirens and alarms, that makes sense. But if I'm looking at something that's aqua blue, but you're dealing with controversial topics, I don't see the communication between the brand. So these are just some ideas and concepts and things that you want to think about when you're communicating your brand with a 30-second elevator pitch. So we went around the world and shared a lot of tips, but I really hope that there was something shared in this podcast that helps you understand the importance of branding. Research the colors, research certain things to make sure that your brand is on target, because when you start talking about your brand and you do that 30-second elevator pitch, when you give that business card that you have needs to be on brand so it matches what you said in that pitch. Thanks for listening to me. You've been on the mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. If you like this podcast, make sure you like and share it. And so listen, I appreciate your support. If there are topics that you'd like me to cover, or if you need a business coach, email me at info@globalmentorcoach.com. Again, that's info@globalmentorcoach.com. Again, thanks for tuning in with me, Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. Remember to spread lots of love and light. Until next time, have a fantastic day.